Hi, my name is Juan Ramon. I'm with Altrusa of Chula Vista, and I have a couple books to read today of Madeline and Corduroy, and so I'm going to start off with Madeline, one of my favorite books. In an old house in Paris that was covered with vines lived 12 little girls in 2 straight lines. In 2 straight lines, they broke their bread. Here we have them at dinner. And brushed their teeth and went to bed. They smiled at the good and frowned at the bad. Guess there's someone getting away from the police. Sometimes they were very sad. They left the house at 9:30 in 2 straight lines. In rain or shine. You can see them visiting Notre Dame, now in a little garden on a sunny day. The smallest one was Madeline. She was not afraid of mice. She loved winter, snow, and ice. Me too. To the tiger in the zoo, Madeline just said, "Pooh, pooh." And nobody knew so well how to frighten Miss Clavel. In the middle of the night, Miss Clavel turned on her light and said, "Something is not right." Little Madeline sat in bed, cried and cried. Her eyes were red. And soon after Dr. Cohn came, he rushed out to the phone. And he dialed, "Danton, 10-6. Nurse," he said, "it's an appendix." Everybody had to cry. Not a single eye was dry. Madeline was in his arm, in a blanket, safe and warm. In a car with a red light, they drove out into the night. Here they are driving past the Eiffel Tower, all lit up and pretty. Madeline woke up 2 hours later in a room with flowers. Madeline soon ate and drank. On her bed, there was a crank. And a crack on the ceiling had the habit of sometimes looking like a rabbit. It does kind of look like a bunny. Outside were birds, trees, and sky, and so 10 days passed quickly by. One nice morning, Miss Clavel said, "Isn't this a fine day to visit Madeline?" Here they are, missing one though. Looks like they're getting her some flowers too. Visitors from 2 to 4 read a sign outside her door. Tiptoeing with solemn face, with some flowers and a vase. In they walked, and then, when they saw the toys and candy and the dollhouse from Papa. But the biggest surprise by far, on her stomach was a scar. "Goodbye," they said, "we'll come again." And the little girls left in the rain. They went home and broke their bread, brushed their teeth, and went to bed. In the middle of one night, Miss Clavel turned on the light and said, "Something is not right." And afraid of a disaster, Miss Clavel ran fast and faster. She's almost flying. And she said, "Please, children, do. Tell me, what is troubling you?" And all the little girls cried, "Boo-hoo! We want to have our appendix out too." "Good night, little girls. Thank the Lord you are well. And now go to sleep," said Miss Clavel. And she turned out the light and closed the door, and that's all there is. There isn't any more. That's the end. I really liked this book. This is my favorite books growing up. I like that even though she's very small, the smallest of her group, Madeline is brave no matter what. And she uses that to turn her life into an adventure. The next book I have is called Corduroy. Corduroy is a bear who once lived in the toy department of a big store. Day after day, he waited with all the other animals and dolls for somebody to come along and take him home. Looks like he has some friends, like a clown, a rabbit, a little doll, and a giraffe. The store was always filled with shoppers buying all sorts of things, but no one ever seemed to want a small bear in green overalls. Then one morning, a little girl stopped and looked straight into Corduroy's bright eyes. "Oh, Mommy," she said, "look, there's the very bear I've always wanted." "Not today, dear," her mother sighed. "I spent too much already. Besides, he doesn't look new. He's lost the button to one of his shoulder straps." Corduroy watched them sadly as they walked away. "I didn't know I'd lost the button," he said to himself. "Tonight I'll go and see if I can find it." Late that evening, when all the shoppers had gone and the doors were shut and locked, Corduroy climbed carefully down from his shelf and began searching everywhere on the floor for his lost button. Suddenly, he felt the floor moving under him. Quite by accident, he had stepped onto an escalator, and up he went. Could this be a mountain, he wondered? I think I've always wanted to climb a mountain. He stepped off the escalator as it reached the next floor, and there, before his eyes, was a most amazing sight. Tables and chairs and lamps and sofas and rows of beds. "This must be a palace," Corduroy gasped. "I guess I've always wanted to live in a palace." He wandered around admiring the furniture. "This must be a bed," he said. "I've always wanted to sleep in a bed." And up he crawled onto a large, thick mattress. It's very comfy. All at once, he saw something small and round. "Why, here's my button," he cried, and he tried to pick it up. But like all the other buttons on the mattress, it was tied down tight. He yanked and pulled with both paws until pop! Off came the button, and off the mattress Corduroy toppled. Bang! Into a tall floor lamp. Over it fell with a crash. Looks like he hit his head. Corduroy didn't know it, but there was someone else awake in the store. The night watchman was going his rounds on the floor above. When he heard the crash, he came dashing down the escalator. "Now who in the world did that?" he exclaimed. "Somebody must be hiding around here." He flashed his light under and over sofas and beds until he came to the biggest bed of all. And there he saw two fuzzy brown ears sticking up from under the cover. "Hello," he said. "How did you get upstairs?" The watchman tucked Corduroy under his arm and carried him down the escalator, and set him on the shelf in the toy department with the other animals and dolls. Corduroy was just waking up when the first customers came to the store in the morning, and there, looking at him with a wide, warm smile, was the same little girl he'd seen only the day before. "I'm Lisa," she said, "and you're going to be my very own bear. Last night I counted what I've saved in my piggy bank, and my mother said I could bring you home." "Shall I put him in a box for you?" the sales lady asked. "Oh, no thank you," Lisa answered, and she carried Corduroy home in her arms. She ran all the way up 4 flights of stairs into her family's apartment, and straight to her own room. Corduroy blinked. There was a chair and a chest of drawers, and alongside a girl-sized bed stood a little bed just the right size for him. The room was small, nothing like that enormous palace in the department store. "This must be home," he said. "I know I've always wanted a home." Lisa sat down with Corduroy on her lap and began to sew a button on his overalls. "I like you the way you are," she said, "but you'll be more comfortable with your shoulder strap fastened." "You must be a friend," said Corduroy. "I've always wanted a friend." "Me too," said Lisa, and gave him a big hug. I like this book because Lisa and Corduroy are very good friends. It shows that no matter what, friends will always be there for you and will always help you when you need it.